Howard. Good. See, we should have a.
Hello, Jim Curry.
Hey, Jim, I got you on speakerphone in council chambers.
Thank you.
I trouble you for a pen, huh? Thank you. Is your microphone back on? Is it on? Okay. Oh, thank you.
I gotta call Pat as well. Jim, I gotta merge you with Pat, hold on.
Spread out this way then.
Hey, it's Pat.
Hey, Pat, I got you on speaker here in council chambers.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it, man.
Hold on, I gotta merge you with Jim.
All right, thanks.
Jim, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, Pat, you're still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, thanks.
Are we ready? Good evening. I'd like to call to order the September 16th meeting of the Borough Council. If you could rise for the pledge and remain standing for a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Grace?
Mr. Puskevich?
Here.
Mr. Lister?
Here?
Ms. Lloyd?
Here.
Mr. Reddinger?
Here.
Ms. Reed?
Here.
Ms. Willenbecker?
Here.
Ms. Miller?
Here. Public hearing?
Oh, so we have the Verizon.
Yeah, at this time, we'd like to suspend the public meeting and go into a public hearing on our Verizon cable franchise renewal. Let me just read from a prepared statement here, and then I'm going to open it up to any questions anybody would have, and we're going to record those questions for the negotiation of a new franchise agreement. So this is a public hearing of the Borough Council regarding cable franchise renewal for the Borough of Middletown. Public hearing is held pursuant to Section 626 of the Federal Cable Act, which sets forth the process for franchise renewal. The borough's current franchise with Verizon is within the industry norm renewal window, and the borough is beginning the process of renewing the franchise. This public hearing is part of a preliminary portion of franchise renewal in which the borough reviews the cable operator's past performance and identifies the borough's future cable-related community needs. As such, as part of this public hearing, we invite comments from any citizen who wishes to speak regarding either or both of the aforementioned subjects. Franchise renewal is the best opportunity for municipalities to assert their rights with respect to their cable operator and to obtain important benefits in returning for granting the cable operator the right to use the public rights-of-way. These benefits include 1. A state-of-the-art cable system now and in the future. 2. Strong customer service standards. 3. Free services to community facilities. 4. Better reporting requirements from the cable operators. 5. Maximized franchise fees. 6. Public educational and governmental channels if desired. 7. PEG capital support funding if desired. 8. Legal protections of the rights-of-ways. 9. Better mechanisms to enforce the franchise agreement. These are just some of the potential benefits available through franchise renewal. Citizens may address these items or any other cable-related items that are important to them And we will now open the hearing up to citizens' comments. If you have a comment, please come to the podium and state your name and address and what your comment is. Or question.
Jack Still, 37 West Email Street, Middletown, PA. Previous meetings, we talked about the copper wires maybe on Email Street and Union Street area. So maybe you can include something like that into the agreement, since we're all fiber optics now.
Yes, we thank you for that statement. We have made our special legal counsel aware of those concerns, along with the lack of maintenance of unused services, and to try to get better teeth into the franchise agreement to deal with those issues. That is an issue that has been noted by other municipalities who are jointly pursuing this negotiation with our legal people from Cohen Law Group, and so that is something that we're going to do. So we'll note that.
As I mentioned, possibly maybe the Email Street and the South Union Street area. It's probably not feasible to do the whole town all at once, but maybe if you get, the downtown area here. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Jared Knob, 256 North Union Street. Jared Knob, 256 North Union Street. Kind of bouncing off what Jack has to say, but Verizon's done a pretty excellent job with getting us fiber in certain parts of town. I think one of the things they lack that maybe the borough could even step in and help with is the programs they have out there that are free to get your property outfitted. Whether you're residential or multifamily apartment, they will actually come in and do the whole install process, bring the engineering team out. I mean, at my mansion on Union Street, I didn't want overhead cables, so Verizon actually came in and put conduit through my yard, an individual box in the middle, and then spans going from either building to either building. So they have those services, I think, because they probably legally have to some extent. We just need to make sure that they put them out there, because I've been telling most of the building owners in Middletown that these options are out there to get upgrades. Like if you have an apartment building where they have all the wires coming in from every area, they'll actually come and run EMT conduit or different types of conduit, depending on what your building looks like, into the building for free, so that they can establish new ways. Even when fiber is old news, it's like conduit in the wall, so they can pull it back out and push new stuff up without destroying buildings on the outside and stuff. So, yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
I have one, Ken.
Yes.
Jim Curry, 463 North Union Street, Middletown, PA, 17057. Just to piggyback so that the provider understands how big of an issue it is for us, the maintenance of abandoned and dead cable is something that I've talked about for years, and I'm glad to hear that that is going to be addressed in this renewal. That has to be cleaned up because it is a disaster for the aesthetic of the town, and it's gone on for far too long. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a question. Actually, I want to triple down on the abatement of old wires. My first question is, how long is this franchise agreement good for? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years?
I believe they're 5 years, but I'd have to.
So I'd like to see like a 5-year action plan where they spell out how they will, and through the course of 5 years, tackle the town in removing wires. Like year 1, we're going to do this section. Year 2, we're going to do this section. To actually really hold them to their feet. And I would like to see an actual plan. Like through the course of this agreement for 5 years, we're going to work on this in this way.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and we'll move on to the agenda for the public.
I'd like to report on our last executive session. we discussed real estate and personnel. No action was taken. Ken, item number 1?
Do I have,
Oh, I'm sorry, we missed. Is there any public comment on agenda items? Seeing none, item number 1.
okay. Do we have a motion to approve council meeting minutes for September 2nd, 2025 meeting as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 2.
Do I have a motion to approve payment of bills as shown on the accounts payable list dated September 10th, 2025 for the period of August 29th, 2025 through September 10th of 2025, and to ratify the approval of those bills already paid and to authorize the appropriate officials to take the required actions to make those payments?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 3.
Do I have a motion to authorize the council president to sign the bill of sale, otherwise known as the deed of dedication, for water and sewer lines within the portion of Sage Boulevard in Woodland Hills Phase 4, contingent upon passage of appropriate ordinances for this project?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 4.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-1422 for the street dedication of Sage Boulevard in Woodland Hills Phase 4?
Second. There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-1423, which is for the acceptance of sewer lines within the portion of Sage Boulevard in Woodland Hills Phase 4?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 6.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-1424 for the acceptance of water lines within the portion of Sage Boulevard in Woodland Hills Phase 4?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 7.
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-1425 for the stop sign intersections of Sage Boulevard, Magnolia Drive, and Woodland Hills Phase 4?
Second.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Before you do the manager's report, just one housekeeping note. In addition to recording the actual deed for that street dedication, as in the past, we'll need to do a report to the chief clerk of the court to put it on the road docket. I brought that tonight, but it won't be right to do until either the mayor approves it or the veto period is passed and or it's overridden. But just so we have that on our radar screen, that gets done in addition to the deeds, and they put it in an old dusty book that nobody looks at for 100 years.
Okay. Item number 8, manager's report.
Thank you. Couple information items. We start out here. The first one, we received a request from Dauphin County Housing Transition asking if the borough would have a space available that the county could host an event in Middletown to get landlords to be open to taking in Section 8 and other housing vouchers and programs. And so at this time, we'll entertain any input from council if you're for, or against, or would like us to offer that space for them to do that. Grace, do you recall what this was, an outdoor, indoor? I think this was an indoor meeting space, right? suggested that we would advertise on our website or something. You don't have to, but we've been asked.
Do we have a space?
We have rooms up here, but we generally don't let people up here during the day in and out. I'd have to get more information, but we could probably put them like in the MCSO or something.
Yeah.
Come in and talk to people if we wanted to do that.
Grace, did they give an indication of how many people would be in attendance, or?
I don't think he would really know how many would come.
Yeah, hard to say. Sure.
It sounded to me like a one-day thing that we would help them advertise and they'd come, but you don't think it was an ongoing thing that you recall, do you? It's just an email we got.
Yeah, it was just,
Hey, guys, just so you know, my 2 cents, this is Pat, I'm a no for that.
Okay.
I'm gonna second that.
Okay.
I agree.
Anybody else? No?
No.
Okay. All right, let's move on to number 2 there. It's another request. UPMC is requesting to come into town somewhere and set up a medical mobile unit that offers preventive care to uninsured and underinsured women. This would be, since it's a mobile unit, I suspect they would like one set up in a parking lot that we own somewhere and advertise, like, or a back lot
So
or
the
over here.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on that request?
Ken, I'm confused as to, can you say what that is again, what they're looking to do?
UPMC wants to bring in a mobile medical unit that offers free preventive care to uninsured and underinsured women.
I would support that request.
I would. I agree. That's a good idea.
Okay? All right, number 3 there, is informational. That talks about the traffic signal, the future traffic signal at the intersection of Sage Boulevard and North Union Street. Most of you would know that as the entrance to the high school.
Right.
Okay. The Woodland Hills developer agreement calls for a traffic signal there when the traffic volume warrants that it goes in. The developer would have to put that in. There was interest of the school district that would happen sooner than later because of their new school project. However, the agreement for the signal is between Middletown and the developer. There's an odd situation here where the school district has a separate agreement with the developer about what that traffic light should look like. Okay, and it says we're trading you this land where you're going to put the light for the fact that we're not going to participate in the cost. So the odd thing is the school district's at a point now where there's going to be 2 new schools opening before school next year.
Right.
And their traffic engineer has done an analysis saying, hey, you're going to need a light somewhere. And the school district would like us to get the developer to put that light in before next school year. However, our agreement, which I had Mr. Diamond look at as well, does not have any caveat like that. It basically says the only thing the borough can do is require them to do a traffic study. And whatever the results of the study says will dictate what the developer, whether or not he puts it in. So this information is saying that I moved ahead and directed the developer to do a traffic study.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wouldn't be proper. We can't lean on a developer, do a favor to the school.
Right.
They have
Mm-hmm.
their property rights and this is a very responsible developer. They've been,
Mm-hmm. Jim, will there be a left turn signal there?
I don't know, so we don't even know if there are gonna be warrants.
Those would be,
I guess the school district's pretty confident they're gonna meet warrants for PennDOT to have a light.
a study would determine all that.
Yeah, we won't,
Yeah, I know the traffic study will determine that, but I'm just hoping that there'll be a left turn signal there.
yeah, we'll be able to put comments in
Yeah,
as part of
that's
that
what I'm
process
hoping.
too.
Yeah.
And Jim, the traffic study can project future traffic?
Yeah, I mean, they're
Yeah.
looking at the background traffic that's there, what's in the pipeline, what's projected, that sort of thing, but,
Mm-hmm,
I mean, there is still, you know, a lot of guesswork involved.
mm-hmm.
But the school, I mean, obviously I represent, you know, Lower Sotera, so, you know, we're pretty, aware of what's going on over there, but, you know, there's gonna be, you know, pretty serious traffic there, and that area has some real traffic challenges already.
Right.
There's a lot of accidents in that immediate area,
Yeah, yeah.
so I think PennDOT's gonna take it very seriously. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
this will be a light lift, but, I mean, timing wise, either there's a trigger under our development agreement that the developer owes us, or there isn't. And,
So for council, so your information, we've done all we can do at this point
Mm.
in terms of that agreement and directed them to perform this.
yeah, or all we should do also. I mean, really.
Because you see now that schools, and one of the issues I've heard from the public in the past is now that there are some children who walk from Woodland Hills to the high school,
Right.
and they cross there, and that's like crossing 4 lanes of traffic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Wide, so you get across.
Who polices the traffic light, whether it goes in or, like,
PennDOT.
Well,
Yeah.
when the light goes in, the developer's responsible for paying for it, and the agreement is written that the homeowners association will have future responsibility for maintenance, but we know over time how those things tend to fall apart.
Yeah, that's a pretty heavy burden on a developer, residential developer. I know that comes up a lot, and I know all the engineers always push for, you know, maintaining in perpetuity, but that's a lot to put on future homeowners and, you know, which is different. I will tell you, there's a big difference when we're doing developments for like a big single user like a warehouse.
Right.
And it really is, it's not, where it's really odd to me, but I see it getting pushed out there, is trying to put on private parties in perpetuity, maintaining a light that's on streets that are dedicated. So, you know, you have a subdivision, they build the streets dedicated to the town, and that ought to be part of the infrastructure of the town, really. It's kind of weird to then say,
Yeah.
you pay your taxes, but then you also take up a collection in the neighborhood to pay to replace the light, and, you know, it's just an odd thing, but I know it goes on out there, but it's, you know, it's a little heavy-handed. And a lot of times they do fall apart, because if, you know, the homeowners association is non-functional, trying to collect the money, it just gets really messy, but, so we may wanna, you know, consider that in the future when these come up. I know we don't do a lot of development in this town in that kind of scale, but,
Yeah, the agreement calls for escrow money to be put aside for maintenance where the borough can access it, I guess, if they have to, and get things fixed, but, you know, we'll see how that goes once the developer's gone and what
yeah,
the
that's
homeowners
not,
association.
it's not really envisioned by Pennsylvania law, because the concept, if you remember, normally you would dedicate the light, and we are allowed to, we make them warrant it for 18 months, called a maintenance bond. They have to bond it, so they're, you know, guaranteeing it's gonna be up and running for a year and a half before, with no problems, or they've gotta pay to fix it, and we have a bond. To say 50 years from now, somebody living in a house has to pay for one of the traffic lights, that's, you know.
Okay, item number 4, there, the Tri-County Planning Commission sent out an email asking to see if anyone was interested in assisting with the developing the comprehensive plan, and asking for a letter of support. If council's in agreement there, I'll send a letter of support to them for that. Item number 5 there, Fire Line Equipment got back to us and say they now have an offer to buy from a group to purchase the 2001 KME pumper truck for $60,000. It's conditioned upon 2 items being fixed with the water tank, and the fire chief has informed us that those items are still under warranty on the truck, and they're having those fixed under warranty. And that may take a little bit of time before that gets done, but everything goes smoothly. At some point, we're hoping once the entity sees that that's fixed and verifies it, that we get an offer that will come directly from that fire department to us to buy the truck. And then we come back to you, you would approve the agreement of sale, with Jim's review, and, then, we would pay the broker of the fire truck directly from our funds once that happens.
What's the brokerage fee?
I believe it's 7%. Does that sound right? I think it's 7%. 7 times 60 would be $4,200. Okay, item number 7 there, just informational, letting you know about everybody who's leaving me. We're going to have a retirement party for all 4 of the folks in the finance department in September. Now, now they're not all leaving in September, but we're having a joint retirement party because they're all leaving within several months of each other. One's leaving in October, 2 in December, and then 1 early next year, or partway through next year.
Ken, did you want to do number 6? You skipped 6.
Tri-County Planning Commission? Yeah. I probably skipped it because I'm seeing Tri-County there again.
Yeah.
I skipped item number 6. Tri-County Planning Commission is requesting nominations from local governments for people who represent their municipality on the commission. If anyone on council wants to serve on the Tri-County Planning Commission, let us know and we can let them know. We can nominate you for that position if you're interested. Staff, mainly Jason's staff and I, we had a meeting with some students from Penn State, and there in your notes it says Harrisburg. Some of them were also from State College, and one of the folks does inspections at Pima for stormwater. Okay, and that is just there for your information. They were very pleased and happy that we were willing to do that for them, and it turned out to be a good day. We heard some thoughts from some staffers on Pima, how some insiders would like to see some changes to stormwater that are practical, more practical. So that was good to hear. That's a change from like 10 years ago when I talked to some people at Pima. So let's hopefully they get through to the legislators and some point they get some more practical things.
Well, we're legislators over our own stormwater policies, and I think we should look at it.
Yeah,
we are and we aren't. So there's this
and I said
state legislation that pushes down so much. That's why those models.
And I said
codes come out.
stormwater. I'm wrong. This was more floodplain. What this meeting was. I was using the term stormwater. This was floodplain. And some of the things that Jason and I recognize and others is like, when some of these buyouts happen, like down along Susquehanna Street and other places, you're very limited on what you can do with those properties. And we feel that there are some things that can be done now that aren't residential, occupied homes that might be municipal buildings that might be over 600 square feet that they ought to be a little more lenient on, like, if we wanted to put a park in and put a bathroom, for people that is cinder block and concrete, that we wouldn't have to elevate it above the floodplain. So there's things like that they recognize there ought to be it'd be nice to have some compromise on those rules. One of the things that we talked about before was solar panels in a floodplain. If you can get the panels above that, why not allow that from a municipal standpoint? But, the rules are pretty tight.
You're not talking about the buyout properties themselves.
Yeah, on properties that we now own in perpetuity that were bought out, that they're really restricted what we can do other than have an open space or pollinator gardens.
I mean, we just did a bunch in Lower. Unfortunately, one of the problems is a lot of that is in the federal statute,
right,
under which they granted the money to Pima through FEMA for the buyout things.
Yeah.
So there are deed restrictions that are statutory.
Right. That's what I'm talking about,
So,
lulls.
yeah. I mean,
that
it's gonna
they'd like
be-
to see
Yeah, but
eased.
the state legislature can't do anything about it.
No, but they talk to the feds, and they're talking to them, apparently,
Yeah,
staff level stuff, HEMA and FEMA folks.
probably talking years though before
Yeah,
building any
yeah.
bathrooms.
So it was just, it's just, at least nice to hear they're talking, there are people,
Yeah.
at least at the staff level, even talking about that, now,
Mhm.
where they didn't before. So, keep in mind when you run into your legislators, that ever comes up, you can be in their ear about those types of things. So, the Historical Society is offering to coordinate hometown hero banners throughout town if council would agree to have staff hang the banners once they've been received. This would make the town red, white, and blue for the America 250 birthday celebration. If you're interested in doing a program like that again, let the Historical Society run that, and we put it up. Staff doesn't have a problem putting them up. We'll put it on the agenda and you can vote on it next, business meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, before I get into item number 10, I'm going to jump on to some things that might be easier and maybe take less time to talk about. It's not on your report, but I got an email recently and I had a phone call today with Pennsylvania Pump Primers. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of them. These are the folks that do the muster up at the city of Harrisburg once a year with all the antique fire trucks that go up there, and they have an event where they have people come in and look at old fire trucks like you do at a car show, and they do little events with firemen, like hose battles and things like that. They're interested in, possibly interested in maybe moving it to Middletown next year if we would entertain that, because they've lost their site at the city of Harrisburg for at least a couple of years because there is construction that's happening along the riverfront. And so they can't be there next year. So I'm not looking for an answer now, but I spoke to the gentleman who's inquiring. They're also looking at another site in Millersburg. They'd rather have it in Lower Dauphin County. They think they'll get more people. And that they realize one of the things they did in Harrisburg was where they line them all up along the river and shoot the hoses in the water and doing that. They can't, they'd have to forego that here. But they'd still like to have like a fire truck show and a flea market they run with it, with like a lot of buying fire related memorabilia and stuff. So I wanted to get that to you so you could think about it. I told the gentleman I'd send him a special application, a special community event form. He said they normally do it the second Saturday of July every year. So you can think about it. I don't think that conflicts with anything we do.
And where were they wanting to do it at? Like down there in like, near the boat launch or on Susquehanna Street area or?
Susquehanna Street area. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I'm a big fan for that. I know that, kids love it. It's a big event each year. I know I've never been there personally. I have numerous friends and families who go there yearly. And I think it would be a good, especially if we started, I don't know if we're gonna have work getting done in that project down there yet, where the pool is by that point. But it would be cool to start getting some people down in that area and start seeing it. Oh wow, there's something back here. So I'm a fan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought up about the project down Susquehanna Street. We don't have an answer on that yet, whether or not we'll get the grant, but that could, we have to look at the timing of it. So,
Well, why can't they shoot the water into the,
well, they're foregoing that.
they're really gonna do that?
No, they're foregoing.
Just to, okay.
Ken,
Yes.
at the car cruise for the Capital City Cruisers, last weekend, I was approached by the group about this and asked them to reach out to you, and I promised the people I spoke to that I would relay my feelings on it, and I couldn't agree more with Pat, so I just want to put that on the record. I promised her this.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the fire trucks in there.
They do certain events that don't involve the fire trucks along the river with
Right.
firemen,
Mm-hmm.
moving things with hoses and, using their skill to do, they have some kind of bucket brigade game they've done and
Yeah.
things like that that people can watch. different firemen compete in.
Well, I'm interested in flea market.
This is what it looked like, you know, when they did the thing along the
Yeah.
river
Mm-hmm.
with the, demonstration. That's the thing they can't do here or in Millersburg.
No.
But they are, I just told them I'd introduce it, get a sense of what you folks think about the idea, but it wouldn't be, you know, done deal until they submit what all they're planning to do or what they want to do. And so I gave them an application.
Great.
Just as an informational piece, I wanted to let you all know that I did submit the official request for county sponsorship for the gaming grant, 2025 gaming grant, to assist with the funding of what we call, right now we're calling this Swadara Crossings Park down around the old pool. As you recall, when we went for the DCNR grant, we pared back the project, and the reason like I told you before, we went for the county gaming grant also. In the event that we don't get the full amount we asked with the DCNR, maybe this will fill the gap. If we get everything we want, maybe we can expand the project. So that's the plan there. So that application is still being worked on. We'll finish that up here this month, and we'll get it in before October 1st. But everything else, as far as the letters of support and the official request that we're applying, is in on time. So, we have a stormwater agreement that we're going to ask you to put on the agenda for the business meeting. This has to do with a property that's being built at 36 West Roosevelt that has an underground stormwater facility going in, and we're going to need a stormwater maintenance agreement. And we'll bring that to you at the next meeting for your approval. Neighborhood Dispute, once again, is asking for their annual commitment of $2,400 for next year. I would recommend, and Chief recommends, and Jason recommends we do that. They're holding the line on the cost. We have it in the budget for next year, in the proposed budget, but I didn't want to give Neighborhood Dispute a signed paper at this time until I at least got approval from council. So we're going to put that on the October agenda. All right, lastly, Greg, Rob, and I all went to the Pennsylvania Municipal Electric Association conference out in Bedford this year, and I will first say that Greg was honored at that event with the Public Power Supply Award for this year, and the award is for someone who has basically a lifetime achievement in serving public power, and his work and his involvement in public power, not just for his community, but for other communities through the association, and his participation in that for many years. So we, I want to extend that congratulations to Greg getting that award. I also want to let you know that Greg was very thoughtful in accepting the award and gave a lot of credit to working for a community and counselors like yourself who understand the importance of public power and who have supported him throughout the years. So,
Congratulations.
They called me the legend in my thing.
yeah.
The legend has retired. Didn't know I was a legend.
So, a lot of the conference centered around the increases that are coming in for transmission and capacity through the PJM grid network, and what communities and what municipal utilities can do to offset some of those costs, and how to strategize going forward in the future, what we should do. As you know, we had the behind the meter presentation the night I was leaving for that conference when GDS gave you a presentation on different types of generation that you can incorporate into your system to shave those costs. And GDS recommended we focus on peak shaving at this time, either diesel generation or battery storage, where batteries store up the energy and you release that energy at certain predetermined times throughout the year when you think you're going to have your highest peaks. And Garrett talked about 2, 3, and 4 hour batteries that are available to do that. So if your peak is 4 hours, a 2 hour battery wouldn't work. You wouldn't be able to shave it and get that reduction. One of the things that I saw in one of the presentations that I thought was notable was a presentation by AMP Ohio, who had a lengthy PowerPoint presentation, and one of those slides showed some peaks this year in the First Energy network of the PJM here in Pennsylvania somewhere. First Energy is what we used to call Med Ed, okay? And they showed on 2 instances where the peaks remained very high for 6 hours, but more than 4. And that got my attention. Well, I don't think a battery would work in that situation. And we've talked to, Rob and I have talked to some people, and Greg can jump in here too, that, so we're kind of thinking that if we're going to go peak shaving, Rob and I are thinking maybe we got to focus more on diesel generation. And because a diesel generator you could run for 6, 8 hours if you had to in a day. So that's might answer one of your questions, getting us a little closer to maybe what we want to do here. The other thing that we don't know all the details on yet, but we learned more about was purchase power agreements. And it was just today that Rob got a lot of answers from a company called On-Site Partners. They're a group that will come and build a battery system for you or a generator system, and then put you in a contract where they build it with their money, they own it, and they charge you an annual fee. Let's say they charge you $500,000 a year to get back their income and to make some money, but they're projecting, they'll look at your system and write it into the agreement how you're going to save some money. For example, they might say, okay, with this size battery or this size generator, we can save you $700,000 a year in your energy purchase or by shaving the peaks down. But we're charging you $500,000 a year for the project and the service until we get our money out of it. So in a sense, maybe you make $200,000.
Right.
That's a purchase power agreement where you don't own it. Okay. Go ahead. You have.
So in that scenario, we'd be looking to get back roughly $200K a year to the residents. Is that, or to offset rates?
Yeah, I won't say get back, but prevent from going on the bill. Yeah.
Sally, I have a quick question for you. Roughly, what do we make a year interest on the 11 or 12 million?
Well, it depends, and we
50 grand, 200 grand.
well, we did that one scenario, it's around 45,000 a month.
A month.
Yes, but I would have to go back and check, because interest rates are,
They fluctuate?
yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, it's gonna fluctuate, but it's.
I'd have to go back and look and double check on the number, but I know the one scenario I did for Jim, Mayor, was 44,000 a month on the electric trust.
If we're gonna put all that investment into a system to yield 200 grand a year, wouldn't it make sense just to leave that money in the investment and just pledge to use the interest every year? You could take that nut and you could say we're gonna take 90% of it and put it to offset the electric, take the other 10% and leave it in the fund and keep it growing, and it never runs out. There's no maintenance with it. You don't have to worry about it. It's not gonna break. You don't have to hire anybody to do anything with it, and you just take the interest and you apply it to the.
I think one of the things that we're going to have to do, I'm talking about technical stuff that I've learned, and you're getting into financials, okay? And I think when we get these offers, if we get things to look at, that question you're answering can be posed to somebody who can analyze the financials and say, yeah, what's best? I can't answer that today. I don't know whether it'd be best to do that or not.
Well, and Ian, I do want to stress that interest rates do fluctuate. And just 5 years ago, we were making $14,000 a month. So it can fluctuate dramatically. So if you're counting on an interest rate bringing you in a certain amount every single year, that may not be true.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the stock market.
But one of the things that, Mr. Cole, Garrett Cole said from GDS, and I'll lean forward again, I have a habit of leaning back, but, so everybody can hear. A battery project, I think he said expectancy might have been like 15 years, roughly.
12, okay.
He might have said 12 to 15, but I won't split hairs right now.
Mm-hmm.
But he did say a generator, diesel generator, might be 25 years, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
We put a diesel generator in at the wastewater plant when we upgraded it in 2009, and this is pushing 20 years now, so they definitely are going to last longer than batteries. So another reason why that Rob and I discussed, and Greg, weigh in if you want, if we're going to do peak shaving, I'd prefer the generator, I think, over battery. I think it's longer longevity, can run longer, meet peaks for a longer period of time. I think, if I remember from the slides, it was actually a better payback than the batteries in terms of the price recovery. So
I would agree with that.
the idea of what do we do next, you know, one of the things that was stressed at PJM was this is the new future. This volatile market with all these demands for energy have gone so high with, you know, with not just data centers, but, you know, AI tied to data centers that use incredible tons of energy. They're putting AI in your computers now that you buy, so your home's going to draw more. I heard somebody talking on the radio, I don't know if it's true or not, recently, that these AI chips can draw 10 times more power than your standard chips did in the past. So there's going to be, you know, the future is more and more energy. And that means higher prices on your capacity. And the capacity is the thing that you pay for somebody else to have a plant sitting there ready most of the year, and then when a hot summer comes, they got to, the owner of the power plant has to put it online. They charge you all year for having that available. And that's what the capacity charge is on the PJM. It's like an insurance policy. And one of the things that PJM did is they changed their calculation on how they figure out how much capacity reserve they need. It used to be much smaller. They made it much bigger. And that's some of the things that some people are arguing now, that they're going to the legislators. You know, this PJM, they set this thing way too high. You know, whether that's going to get reduced or not, I don't know. But to get back on the focus of us, I think, you know, I can tell you that Ephrata is a municipal operation. Chambersburg, I think Percy, there's somebody in they all have peak shaving. And the only ones that don't have peak shaving are the small ones. You know, the bigger ones like Percy, you know, Ephrata, and, you know, we're big enough that we could afford it. We ought to do it. You know, public power provides you cheaper rates than everybody else. And if we want to be able to shave some of those costs down that are going to continue to escalate into the future, right now that's the only technology out there is these peak shavers, these generators, and these batteries. Yes, you could use your cash. I just can't tell you from a financial standpoint how quick that's going to run out. I don't know. I don't know how
Hey,
big.
Ken, let me ask a question real quick. So for us, that's great information. For us as a council then, what's our next step? Do we just have to talk amongst ourselves and say, let's investigate this idea, or is there another study that needs to happen, or what?
I think your first step is to decide whether or not you agree that you should have peak shaving generation at some point. Then we go out and get more details on the two types of peak shaving and come back to you with, here's the estimated cost to do it yourself, here's what a purchase power agreement will cost you. But you have to decide if you want to do it first.
Isn't that what Garrett?
Yes, I wanna do it.
Isn't that what Garrett said, that we would have to, that's who would give us the information, right? We would ask them to give us the proposal?
No,
Or
these
no?
proposals are gonna come from vendors who build these things.
So-
Like AMP Ohio builds them, they finance a big entity, or, one partner.
Secure, on-site.
Yeah, on-site partners, they do this all over the globe. They build these things and get into these financial agreements. I mean, when AMP Ohio came a year ago and we talked about this, I think Greg had them in, they bring like 12 people. So it's like people from the financial world of AMP Ohio, it's people from the technical world. It'll be a partner who provides the actual generator. Like, so yeah, so the next step is, in my opinion, is either entertain Garrett again and and get him to get us more information and evaluate what these people give us.
So the association you just went to the meeting on, is there a possibility of pulling together like an intergovernmental group to hire one big expert? I mean, presumably a lot of this stuff's gonna translate the same way from one borough to another.
It's, you know,
Is that not a?
it's
Like an
interesting that
alliance.
you say that. It's
What's that?
Like an alliance of all the,
Yeah, well, I mean, you can do intergovernmental, and.
Yeah, that's a possibility. And, you know, it's funny you say it because there's talk even in the PUC,
maybe you should
some
come up there
people
so we
at
can
the
hear you
PUC
talk.
about microgrids. It's like, why don't we go back, pre, deregulation where there were more microgrids? Maybe we need to change the laws. And we said, well, the 35 communities in Pennsylvania already are microgrids. And if we can start generating power in each one, that takes pressure off the larger grid, the PJM. Okay, because everybody is part of that demand.
What did you say our two options were,
Peak shaving.
no, not peak shaving. It was either
Battery.
we own it
Yeah.
or
Somebody else owns it and we pay
somebody
them.
else owns it. What did you call it?
Per-
Power
Purchase agreement.
purchase power agreement.
I'm sorry,
That's how we should go, is the power.
can you go back to what our first step is? Because maybe we need
Yeah.
to just go step by step, because otherwise we'll get like off track and then we're gonna lose
Do we
time
wanna
and.
do-
But what I heard
Don't wanna
was
do that.
exactly that we as a council should decide if peak shaving is something that makes sense to us. I'm saying, for me, first hearing it from Garrett, he seemed very confident that that was the way to go. And then to have that affirmed by the three of our staff who attended a conference where you were talking more broadly with other municipalities, I don't know how much more exploration we need on that decision. Greg, if you have something.
Well, and Ian kind of hit on it right there, and Garrett had brought it up that there are the two ways, like Ken said, you can physically use your money and put in the system yourself, but then you're the owner, you have all the overhead up front, you take the risks, you might need additional staff and so forth. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a second part to the study that GDS can do. And when he threw that PPA out on us, it kind of, at first it threw us for a loop, but that's not uncommon throughout the industry, that someone else does the project. And you have to really look at it hard, because like AMP might do a project for some of its members and they're not seeing the benefits right away. AMP is using the benefits to pay for the project. After the project's paid for, then it becomes their.
Right, which is why at the end of Garrett's presentation, I think we weren't rushing into a decision because we had just heard the presentation. We knew you guys were going to a conference and would bring information back. So even at Garrett's presentation, I believe we were nodding our heads and saying, we're probably interested in diesel peak, and we'd like to see the difference between owning it and leasing it.
Correct.
And as Ken said, those are financial calculations, not technical,
Yes.
but that helps us with our final decision.
Especially because you're dealing with different circumstances in most communities. You have a trust fund. So to Ian's point, if you do a PPA, they would take that into consideration. Okay, well, what if we just keep drawing down on that slowly, and it will still gain that interest rather than one lump sum to put a project in. You may be better off doing a PPA. I don't know, and that's why
We
they
don't
would
know,
do the
that's what
study.
we need to find out.
You-
My
yeah, that's
question
beyond, I
is, who
think,
is the best
everyone sitting here.
organization to bring us that? Is it GDS? Is it On-Site Partners? In your opinion, having experienced both, or does one do the first and the second kind of reviews it?
I know, Ms. Stewart, can I have 1 minute?
Yeah, sure.
I am in favor of doing a peak shaving, and I think generation is the way to go, not battery. We can turn it on for long periods. If there's a brownout, we can turn it on. I don't know if I'm yet sold on the idea of a power purchase agreement. It smells an awful lot like the water sewer deal. You don't own it, somebody else owns you, you don't control it. We have the money, we have the resources, we have the technology, we maintenance an electric grid. I was actually really offended by Garrett with, like, he was like, well, you can't maintenance a solar system. We maintenance a substation, 2 substations, we maintenance every single day of the week. Transformers, high transmission lines, we can handle the maintenance. So I'm not saying I'm necessarily sold on the power purchase agreement. That's a lot of money on the table that we're giving away. They're not doing it for free. The joint venture isn't managing our water system for free. They're not doing it because they're really nice people and they just want to help the borough residents. They're doing it for money. And that's the same thing with the power purchase agreement. They're going to do it for a fee.
Yeah, I was gonna say, cause we do a lot of big mega solar things, you know, throughout the country even, and a lot of them are, you know, a lot of the developers are doing the power purchase. But when you think about it, it's really sort of a financing mechanism, or also, I mean, there's also a development piece, cause they know how to develop it. We are unique in that, you know, because we're a government, among other things, you know, the subdivision land, all the stuff that private folks wrestle with, that bring in that expertise, we probably don't need that. And there is a weird thing, you know, when you happen to have a trust fund, you know, when whoever's coming in to do that power purchase, they need to make a profit, so that's built in. So they're coming in to finance it.
Correct.
Yeah, it's profit, so, you know, it's like any other decision, if you have a pile of cash versus you're gonna finance it through whatever mechanism, you're weighing
Right.
those two
And there's hybrid.
financially.
Although if I'm understanding, again, the benefit, and I'm not saying I agree with it, I'm just trying to understand it. So there are 2 benefits to purchase power agreements, if I'm understanding. One is the financing, which isn't our issue, we're so lucky. But second is the maintenance of the system.
Right.
That's
So
where
that
I think
is
that's where their study would tell you. You know, this is he touched on it before.
But if you're running a diesel thing, could, you know, kinda, was Mr. Redding was saying, you run a whole, you know, the borough runs a whole electric system, which is very different, you know, if I have a factory and you're gonna come in and put the solar on, I'm gonna make some money no matter what. Cause, you know, I don't care if I'm making the most money or whatever, you're gonna put it up for free, you're gonna get your piece out of it, you're gonna pay me essentially, almost like a lease. But, you know,
Well, before we go further down that, let me tell you my thoughts. If you were going to do, well, let me start this way. My opinion, if money wasn't an object and we could afford it all, we would buy a peak shaving project, and we'd also buy a 24/7 generation project like a solar farm.
Absolutely.
Like Ephrata and Chambersburg both. Ephrata, I think, has a 3.5 meg solar farm that produces power year round, which means it's cheaper power than buying it from somebody else. They have a peak shaver to handle the capacity charges that come from PJM to shave those down. So if we could do both, that's where I would think, you know, I'm enticed to look at. And as far as owning versus purchase power agreement, I just, because being an operator of a complex system of water and wastewater treatment before with a lot of moving parts of different things, and we did that. But it's a 24/7 operation, you know, with people year round, even on weekends, running those things. I thought about solar farms, and I know a little bit about them, not as much as Ian or much as Greg, but it seems like less moving parts. They're panels. I know there's inverters and there's wires, but I'm thinking if I was going to do anything and just say I'm going to own it and I'm going to take the risk of owning it and take on the liability, it would be something where I don't have to be accountable for hitting the peaks, okay? If I have a solar farm and a few panels go out and I have to buy a little extra energy off the grid that month, okay, it's no big loss. But if you miss peaks, you know, like today I was in Rob's office and he was showing me on his SCADA system where we were currently, like 2 hours before this meeting, the town was drawing about 7.8 megs of power. Rob has seen already in this town on some really bad, and Greg too, where we draw 17 megs. The same people. That's a big jump. So if you decide to own your own peak shaving, and somebody's not watching the road, so to speak, on a Saturday afternoon when it's the hottest, or a Sunday morning, or whatever, and there's no guarantee, oh, you know, our guys didn't know that was the peak, they didn't turn it on. They didn't turn the generator. But you go to a purchase power agreement, the liability is you have to, or it's on you.
They have to make the peak.
Yeah, but this is, so, in a power purchase agreement, you have the investor. The investor's just the money. They're not doing anything.
Yep.
They hire a third party, they hire a contractor that does that stuff.
That's what I was
Okay.
wondering.
There is no reason that the borough cannot engage with that middleman contractor.
No, I understand, but what I'm
Okay.
saying is,
The,
if the middleman contractor is a smaller player than these big players who do this, and he misses the boat, does he have the financial wherewithal, and is he gonna sign an agreement that I'm gonna pay for that?
yeah, I mean, because like the project I just got back from in New York, exactly how it worked. There was a customer that reached out to an investor, and they hired another vendor. All that vendor did was come out with a laptop and take pictures and write a report, and then when it hit the fan, they called a subcontractor, me, to
Right.
come out and clean the mess up.
Right.
But one thing I took note in that is that customer made a comment to me that every time that vendor comes out and they fix something, they get a bill for it.
Yeah.
So, do we need them? Do we need the bank? Why can't we just engage with that vendor ourselves?
Maybe we can, and to that point, here's what I'll say next. I talked to Rob about this today. I talked to him about getting a second engineering opinion on these things that could look at what GDS did. There's a smaller local group that works with a lot of the municipals in PA, and maybe let them look at it
Yeah.
and see what they have to say about, you know, owning versus.
I'm not saying I'm not
Power.
for it. I'm not saying I'm
Right.
sold on it yet.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great path to go down. Whether we go left or right, I think it's a good move for the borough. I think everybody sitting at the table is probably in
Yeah.
that position.
Yeah.
It's a good move for the borough.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure you get your bang for your buck. You know, when it
Well,
comes
then it
to that. And
sounds
it's
like
so many
part of,
options.
finding out more through an engineer would be to identify these companies who could operate it. We own it, but someone else operates it in a way that we would be guaranteed it was well run.
Correct.
I
And
don't know if
they
you,
would just handle the peaks. You know, they
They
would
would
handle
handle
the
the-
online and, you know,
There's no
the
reason
stuff
we
that
couldn't
you
be in the
don't-
driver's seat. We can have an O&M agreement with somebody that's going to come out and service a diesel generator and.
I'm
it's
passing
very
around-
exciting.
Right now, I'm passing
Greg.
around some information
Greg.
that Rob received.
Possibly put the diesel with at the substation?
That, I don't
Thank you.
know, that would all be in a study, because you have sound and, you know, you have to, make sure that as far as noise ordinance and stuff like that goes.
Is it really loud?
I don't know, I can't answer that question, there's so many different variables when it comes to that. And it's like, it has to be like up to 50 decibels is the minimum or something like that away, so,
Okay,
yeah.
I just wondered if
Yeah,
they're
they'll,
the same.
batteries we talked about
This
to
is
go
the-
in the
this
new
is batteries.
substation.
It is.
This,
That's
But
batteries.
The reason I gave it to you, because it answers some of the questions we can look at till we meet again about, here he has, how does a PPA differ from ownership? This was written by On-Site Partners, who is somebody who does these deals. But one of the things I want you to look at on the first page there, a 5-megawatt project is about $7.5 to $9 million, whether it's battery or diesel, according to these folks.
we could
okay?
fund that, yeah.
And that answers a question, I think when Garrett was here, he said 7.5. This guy gave a
did.
range of 7.5 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
With purchase power agreements, you'll see in here that they'll do hybrids. So instead of them paying it all up front and saying, well, you know, we're gonna project that you're gonna make $200,000 a year, but for putting nothing up front, they'd be willing to write a deal where you put up $2 million of your money up front that we can use to invest in this project. You'll make more money, but we don't know how much more yet until we get into talking about that. Or you can just, like Ian's saying, build it all yourself, and hire somebody to maybe help you manage it.
An O&M group.
And one thing with the batteries that you can remember is, you don't necessarily just use them for when it peaks. So batteries can be charged and discharged, like during the heat of the day, especially the way, power supply contracts are gonna be negotiated in the future probably with a borough. It's gonna be on block systems. So you're probably gonna have a higher block, higher cost. They do it 7 by 12, 7 by 8. So like
What do you
during the
call it?
week,
Time of day billing? kind of?
yes, well, it's just the blocks. So during the day between 7 and 7, your cost for power supply is a couple cents more than it would be for the nighttime costs when there's no demand. And we used to be billed that way. So when you have a battery storage, you could actually, if I remember right, I heard that it's 1/10. So charging is 1/10 of the discharge. It costs you money to charge them.
So you charge at night.
Yeah,
cheaper.
you charge it when it's cheap, and you can discharge it during the day. So you can discharge 4 hours, and it don't necessarily have to be when the PJM's looking for a peak. They only do that a couple times a year. It can be every day, and you're actually giving people kilowatts off of that system. So you're giving them, you know, that's saving us from buying it from market.
So, I have a question. They talked about doing, and I think I asked Jared this, but I don't understand. Why couldn't we do diesel and battery at 2 different locations? If what you're saying is that a battery could be charged at night and then, whatever, what did you say?
Discharge during
Discharged
yeah,
during the day.
peak hours, correct.
If we weren't using diesel at the same time.
And diesel would be mainly, most of the time when people have diesels, it's strictly just to start up during your peak.
So why couldn't we have those at the same time if we don't have the option to do solar at this particular time because we don't have the land for it?
That's kind of, I think some of Jared's recommendation was
Well,
a little
I
bit
know
of
that
both.
you know, they're both peaking devices primarily.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is a strategy you can use it for, but it is limited strategy in the time that the battery can discharge. Okay?
Right.
If you were gonna do 2 projects, I would look at a peaking project and a 24/7 generation project. Like, he showed you a Rice generator and he showed you solar field. Now, Rice generator is something that needs real high gas pressure, and we may not have this in this area. And then the solar is the challenge of where do you get the land, okay? But that would take some looking into, you know, could some rooftops be used, or buy land somewhere, what would that cost be? But for now, the urgent thing is the PJM, and shaving peaks is the most urgent thing. So I wouldn't lose focus of that, but I think your idea of having another backup plan is a good one, but it's probably gonna get cost prohibitive to have two things that are primarily peaking.
Doing the same thing.
You might be looking at $20 million.
And solar, I believe, if I remember correctly, they only account for 20% of your solar output as towards a peak, because solar is not considered a consistent source.
And so,
If it's cloudy on the day that they want you to
right.
peak, you're done. Or it's rainy here, you know.
But if you had a 10 meg solar field, and you had a summer kind of like we did, where there was a lot of sunshine.
Oh,
during
we
the
were
summer,
putting out power.
you
from
have
it,
a number of days all throughout the summer where you're not buying power.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing that you probably don't know this answer, but maybe you might. To put them solar panels on the roof, because we don't have the land to do it, we would need a lot of like borough-owned buildings to put them on, and we don't have that type of
No, you're
real
probably
estate.
looking for land somewhere, and
Yeah.
you can look for land outside your borough.
But then we would have to figure out how to, right, which
To
we
Angie-
talked about.
To Angie's point, we could do some cool, like a carport out back. Yes, it's not going to make huge dents into, you know, you could do a carport at the police station, you could do a carport back here, throw a EV charger on it or two.
Mm-hmm.
It's optics. It does provide some, you know, less maintenance with snow, like snowplow removal and stuff like that. And you could get a little benefit from, you could backfeed like this building and take the hit of this building off.
Yeah, those
I
are
would-
interesting. We
I
did
wouldn't
one.
be opposed to those. I think there's options for those.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we did one in Robinson Township out in Pittsburgh. A client of mine, that they have a big, it's like the international hub for FedEx lost packages. And they put in 6 megs of, they designed them themselves, but they call it bifacial, and they're set up, so they have it over their massive parking lots. Almost like, you know, giant carports.
Mhm.
And they actually even, the township there let them even put it into the stormwater retention pond, and, but because they also pick up what's the light bouncing off of the car, the electric, and then they put them on their buildings too out there, but.
Well, then, given Ken's point of peak shaving would be the most immediate, and whether we purchase it or buy it or own it ourselves, but while we are taking this next step of, you know, Garrett's proposal was summary, it was general. I know you need more specific information, like from an engineer. Do we take the opportunity to ask the engineer also to give us more information about solar?
Well, we could, I just don't want council to get sidetracked on, if you wanna move quickly on the whole peaking thing, maybe you.
We can walk and chew gum.
Can we? I don't know, can we really?
I mean, we understand peak shaving is the immediate, it's the easiest, we can buy it. I don't know that, if you think we can't handle
Yeah, I
both
think
of
we
them,
can.
but I think it's almost like part 1 and part 2 of what I understand,
I
so.
think the first thing now is, you wanna do peak shaving. Let's determine what's the best peak shaving for Middletown. Let's go back and, get a second opinion. Rob's gonna call somebody, and we're also gonna call, we got, one partner, I keep getting their name wrong, cause I just learned it today.
One
And if somebody else we
One
can
site.
call, we can look at a couple of agreements and give them, tell us, hey, what's the purchase power agreement with no money up front, and what would it look like with us participating in some way, and bring them back to you.
Well, I'm sorry, sorry to interrupt you, but I do think that maybe we should first make sure that we're all in agreement with the diesel, because I know, like, is that what you?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
Well, I thought we'd ask an engineer what he thought about diesel versus battery too, as well. Just to
well,
get a
I
second
mean,
opinion.
but if we aren't even interested in battery,
I'm
do
not
we even need to
interested
waste?
in that. I'm not interested.
No.
Do we even want to waste the time?
Right.
The fact that the battery was like $11-12 million and lasted 11 years, you pretty much burning $1 million a year. You might as well just take $1 million a year and put it on the electric rates and just be done with it.
If you get 25 years out of the generator.
You get 25 years out of a generator, you.
Mhm.
But
I mean, I'm out of.
Yeah, but you're not gonna run a generator, I don't think, you're just running it for peak. Mainly, that's why they priced it, the diesel generators. Peak and when the system's down, when your feed is down. So, yeah, it's gonna be
I don't know.
the council decide. And I like the solar idea, I know that solar is a little, lost a lot of, support financially, with some, the tax credits and things like that, but when you still have this block of money that can't be touched for anything else, solar looks great. And like Ken said, you have a solar field in that's putting out your 7 megs a day, for half your time, half your year.
Mhm.
If you think that we should have the comparison, I mean, that,
You mean battery to diesel?
yeah. But I think the biggest thing is that, like, we just don't wanna sit and, be idle for 3 months waiting for it to come back.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing.
I don't understand the benefit of battery, since you said
They're quiet.
the battery doesn't, okay, that's
Less
important.
maintenance, there's no moving parts,
Uh-huh.
0 moving parts.
No, there are moving parts on diesel.
I
The
didn't hear the
The battery.
positives,
Oh,
I only
battery.
heard the,
Less maintenance on
shorter lifespan,
And there
can't
again,
handle a 6-hour peak.
their lifespan may be, GDS, Garrett might have been saying, it's 11 years or 12 to 15 years at 100%. The battery may last 30 years, but the life is going to degrade. It may be at year 18, 20, it might be at 85%.
Well, here's the other
Like
thing.
degradation of the solar.
Here's the other thing I said.
Yeah,
to-
same thing with
Yeah,
solar.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I said to Rob today about batteries is, we were talking, you never know what's gonna happen with the raw resources they use to put in batteries as far as the price. Because a lot of that stuff comes from overseas. Whereas if you build a mechanical generator, there are plenty of people in the United States can fix those things and even aftermarket parts.
Mm-hmm.
But if you find out in 5 years from now, if you say we built a battery system today and half of them went bad in less than the 10 years and we had to go for them in 7 years and find out they're 4 times more expensive than when we bought them because the rare earth materials they use for batteries,
Lithium.
there's tariffs on them or something and we get it all from China or overseas.
Mhm.
That's just I think another risk to think about when it comes to batteries. I just put a battery in my mother-in-law's car recently, and I was shocked when I went to Advance and got the cheapest battery they had for over $200. And I thought,
Right.
wow, I haven't bought a battery for a while, but, and hers was one where, she doesn't use her car a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So batteries are those things when they sit longer, it actually, affects the life expectancy of a battery, whereas generators, it's a little different animal.
Right.
So I think a second opinion, we can go generator, but I still feel comfortable. I think we can get that second opinion, even just a verbal review and report back to you without a report,
Okay.
from another engineer that we
You
can
know,
talk to quick, or other people,
As I'm sitting here, I'm thinking that maybe just getting information on both is probably a good idea because we don't want to do a disservice and not have both information on both to work with. I think that's probably the responsible thing to do.
And you can say the diesel prices can go up too, but quite frankly, diesel fuel's coming from this country.
Right.
So,
Have we seen a report yet from AMP since they came down and did
no,
their?
Rob is waiting. He's been in contact with them, but he didn't hook up with them. They didn't get back to
Okay.
him yet.
He got back to me today, and
Oh, did he?
we're gonna go over it next Monday.
Okay. All right.
So thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Craig.
Okay, that's it from me.
Okay.
Item number 9, codes.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hi.
If you look at my report, it's fairly the same, but a new information piece here that we're going to have 2 zoning hearing board hearings on October 16th. One's regarding 104 East Main, that's in the C2 zone. They're looking at doing a commercial tourist home, which is similar to short-term rentals. Our ordinance has commercial tourist and residential tourist home as those permissions in various districts. And the other hearing is 322 North Catherine. That's in the R2 zone. They're looking for a special exception to get into an apartment conversion. That's also a permitted use, so there really shouldn't be too much of a issue with these, just more information for you. The fourth one is we're wanting to get some direction on where we want to do with, what we want to do with the youth club sheds. So I know Solicitor Diamond was trying to draft some letters and get some things together, so we're just sort of waiting on.
So were you able to determine exactly which sheds are owned by whom at
Yes,
this point?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the prior meeting, one of the MABA representatives
Yeah, I
was
know,
there.
he's sitting in the back, so
Yeah,
he could,
Right, so I have now an image to have that, and they are working on their 2 sheds, so the other 2 are sort of by default, the youth clubs. So, and just continuing day-to-day stuff with our ordinances and sort of adding on to what Ken said with the Pima and Penn State. I just got back from the Pennsylvania Floodplain Management Conference, and we have had some accolades for the Borough of Middletown. We recently have been part of the Susquehanna River Basin's flood warning and response system. So we were sort of on the radar for everyone else in the state, that we are able to get the warning levels with the gauges with the Swatara Creek in the river. Penn State has been eyeing the Swatara Creek and the Susquehanna, so I'm sort of making some connections there, maybe some partnerships so that we can get some more research and information and some resources as well to help us with the floodplain management as a whole. So it was a good conference, and I plan to head up and do the substantial damage and substantial improvement sessions that are up there as well this week. Otherwise, are there any questions?
I have one for the rest of the council. Has anybody read the rental inspection agreement? And does anybody have any questions about it so we can go on with it and pass the ordinance?
Are you still working on it?
I think
yeah,
we're still trying
something
to
that I
get
think
in
we
touch.
want to talk about in executive session tonight too. Not it's about a case, but it may also impact
Okay.
on not necessarily that ordinance, but something in tandem with that. I'll get into there.
So,
But if yeah, so the only thing we were going to add on, and it's really a Jason thing, is you know he sent me parts of the IPMC would put in that are standards, but the part all the policy stuff you would be looking at, I don't expect anything to change from what was circulated. So if you're happy with that, we can just plug in that last piece and move it whenever you want to move it.
yeah, I'm kinda wanting to move it soon, or at least.
You want to put it on the agenda for potential advertisement for next meeting?
Is it not
Talking
on?
to your microphone.
I can't hear you.
It's too far away.
Oh, I can
Pull it
hear.
closer to you.
Alright.
And I'm an old man.
Alright, I'm kinda wanting to, move it for advertisement, the rental inspection, if that's okay, or.
Put that
do
on
you-
the agenda for the next meeting. I'll bring it in and we'll
I-
add that piece.
Or didn't anybody read
I
Or you
think
don't.
that we probably should discuss it at a workshop before we put it on.
Yeah.
So maybe at the next workshop, we should have it under council as an item to
yeah.
discuss
Mhm.
before we vote on it.
Yeah, we had no discussion really on that.
No, but I'm saying, has anybody
It's too
read?
early to advertise it.
Yeah.
So we'll do that next workshop.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll look
so-
at what we've,
but
what
That was,
Jim has
that was
for
my
us.
question, has anybody read it?
You may wanna put something
I was gonna
out.
say, we can circulate it again.
You may wanna
by
put
email.
something out specifically, like even just our Facebook or something, that we're gonna have it for discussion at a next workshop, so
Okay.
landlords or anybody interested can come and hear what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's a
Alright.
good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Can
Yeah,
you
and
do
in
that?
theory, that happens when we do the advertised hearing, but it does make sense. This is gonna be, a lot of towns, this is very controversial.
Yeah.
I've seen many of them start and never, after everybody's, all the public comment, a lot of times they don't move forward.
I saw that
It
happen
probably
here
does make
before.
sense to have
Yeah.
extra, put it on the website, an extra, get word out
Okay,
to get
That's a good
a lot of
idea.
feedback.
thank you.
And we can even talk through with,
So
The
we're gonna
feedback.
do that the next workshop then? Have that
Yep.
draft to
Yep.
talk about? Okay. We'll put
Thank you,
something out.
Jason.
Great.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason. Thank you.
Item number 10, electric.
Good evening.
Hi, Rob.
Hi.
Hi, Rob.
We've been continuing out at Woodland Hills and also on our pole replacement and maintenance. A couple of smaller things we did was replace the three fans at Hopper Park Main Pavilion and upgraded the library second floor lights to LED. As Ken said, we attended the PMEA conference, received updates on key industry topics, and met key industry leaders. And you should have the rate comparison attached that shows where we are for 2025 compared to MedEd and PPL. Number 16, I did interview one of the applicants, the other one canceled, and he was given an employment offer and should be starting up with us at the end of the month.
That's great.
Good.
And yeah, Spruce Street update. The 3 transmission poles have been installed as well as a lightning arrestor pole. They're beginning to pull in the 3-phase underground from each breaker to each riser pole. And the old substation equipment's being torn down and transformers will be removed within a week or two. And then just one outage since the last report and is a worn out fuse. And no action items at this time. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 11, finance.
Hi, good evening,
Hi.
everybody.
Hi.
Just one thing to bring to your attention on my report. We received a contract for 1 year from our current IT provider, Higher Information Group. So we've reviewed that with our solicitor, and I am requesting approval at the October 7th meeting to go ahead and sign that contract for the 1-year term.
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
No? All right,
I'm
then.
sorry.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that? I was looking for the electric rates that I can't find, so all I heard was 1-year contract. So.
Yeah, no problem. We received a 1-year contract from Higher Information Group, our
Oh,
current IT provider, so I'm just requesting approval to sign that
Okay.
contract with them.
Okay.
Alright, and then just a friendly reminder that tomorrow at 6 p.m. is our first budget meeting.
Yeah.
Is that 6?
Yep, 6 p.m.
And where are we starting? Just at the beginning and however far we get?
Each department, so
Yep.
PD, codes, and myself will be tomorrow.
And it's in order. I started to look at it last night, so thank you both for getting that done. I appreciate it because I knew I needed to start last night or else I wouldn't, So it's in order as we're going.
No, it's, actually, your book is in, department number. So it goes from 400 to 402 to 403. So we can tell you, it will jump around a little.
Okay. Okay.
But it's all there. That's a good sign, right?
Okay. Thank you.
That is good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 12 is fire department. I see no one here. Item number 13, highway.
Good evening.
Hi, Matt.
Matt.
I'm,
We did receive quotes for the library windows. I sent the diagrams and everything to both Heidi and Ken, so that is a capital item that is in the budget for next year, so we can keep that moving. Painting is to begin at Borough Hall later this week, pending the weather. And staff's been working down in Hopper Park doing some parking lot repairs. Anything from me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Morrow report, there's information in your packet about the last meeting, spells out everything we did. If anybody has any questions? Number 15, police report.
Hello.
Hi, Dan.
So there's a couple things of note on here. If you are Crime Watch subscriber, we had a daylight burglary on Hoffman Street last week.
Can you speak up a little bit, Dan?
Is it on?
Thank you.
Yeah, we had a daylight burglary on Hoffman Street last week. Young man on a bike was seen by some neighbors around a house, and he was trying to get into somebody's house who happened to be there. They chased him away. We were there probably within less than a minute. He got away on a bike after we had determined that he didn't get in this one particular house. A neighbor came home and determined that he had gotten to their house. Took an Xbox. We believe he's a juvenile. We have some leads that we're trying to track down on who he may be. There haven't been any subsequent incidents, but there was a Crime Watch post with some information on about his appearance and where he may be and where he may live. So we're hoping to develop some leads on that. But so far it's been an isolated incident. Regular school started. We've been out at the bus stops and at Fink and Seven Sorrows in the morning trying to make an appearance to let everybody know. We're out there to make sure their kids get to school safe. We had the car show and the fireworks. It was well attended. There were not any issues. We got the Halloween parade coming up next month. The homecoming parade also. I reached out to Penn State about the amount of students that may be in that particular housing unit, and I have not got anything back yet.
Okay,
So
thank you,
I will keep trying.
thank you.
The one thing I want to spend a little time on, we've had some complaints with some of the vape shops of juveniles obtaining tobacco products in a few of the vape shops. We've set up some surveillance on one or two of them, and we've been able to cite two of the clerks in one of the shops for sale to minors. We're going to continue to work on that because we're finding out that it's a little bit more of a problem than we first realized. Established businesses like Turkey Hills usually have a little bit more control over their employees and policies in place that specifically address this. Independent owners usually are a little bit more lax on it. The overall enforcement is administered by the Department of Health. They actually do sting operations on these type of establishments. We've reached out to them. We're looking for some assistance, but the patrol guys have done a good job on just approaching people they see exiting the shop, trying to engage them in conversation. They're under no obligation to stop and talk to the police. And on two of the cases, the individuals talked to the police and said, yeah, I bought this product inside, and we subsequently went inside. Now, although it's a serious problem, the charge is a citation. So the results, the punishment's not that serious, but the offenses are reported to the Department of Health, who holds license status over these places. So there is a little bit of back end pull that may have an impact. So an update on the co-responder program. We should know by the end of September whether the district attorney's office received the grant, and I'll have an update on that for you. And one last thing, I think it's National Library Month, and I'm getting my library card next week. So Heidi's hooking me up.
All right. Dan, I had a quick question. So when a restaurant or eating establishment gets inspected by the Department of Agriculture, and if they fail, there's a big yellow sign on their door. Is it similar if the Department of Health determines a vape shop is selling
No.
to minors and it's a citation? Does it become is there a public notice on the door at all?
I don't believe so. They have a specific matrix, 2 violations and a 6-month period equals this, or, and even the citation, subsequent offenses have steeper fines for the same clerk, but it never rises above the level of basically a ticket, a traffic ticket. So, and a tobacco product is defined as anything you ingest, through vape or through smoking, or, so if they're selling banana peels as a item to smoke and ingest, and you're under the age, you can be cited for that. You have to card somebody. So a tobacco product, by definition, includes vape pens, includes cartridges, and includes all of that. Any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Item 16, joint venture Veolia. Grace, note no one's here. Item 17, council.
I have something, I'm sorry, I do have a question for you. Is the department planning or, are you doing trick or treat down there?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We partner with Giant, and partner Giants with us and the fire department. They set up a stand with employees, and Sergeant Laudenslager is usually responsible for the decorations and the skeleton out front, and he's still here, so I'm counting on him taking care of it. But we'll be out.
Okay.
Okay,
Just checking. Thank you.
thanks. Does council have anything? Okay. Now is the time of general public comment. Does anyone have public comment?
Jared Knob, 256 North Union Street. Would have liked to make this comment during the energy discussion. A lot of my time prior to the real estate world was spent with peak shaving and demand offsetting and things like that. I know you had a question about the battery situation, what the value of that is. If you guys look, Middletown School District, like our own school district, is one of like the most energy forefront districts in this part of the state. Farther away, sorry. And they focus a lot on, again, not necessarily just getting rid of the peak when it happens, but how do you move that peak so you have more of a stable power draw. When they have their conversations, they don't start with the engineers that want to push you to a solution they can make money off of. They start with their partners that they bring in to purchase the power, as is some of your other larger power users across the state, like the Hershey Company, and you get out into like E-Town and Manheim, and you have like Four Seasons Produce. So I would say if the borough wanted a different take on it, look to engage some sort of consultant, if we already don't have one, on how we purchase our power, and let them tell you what the needs are and how they, because when you purchase a bulk of power, at least at the building level, and I would imagine most of these buildings, some of these buildings draw what this borough draws, it's like they sell you, like why should you sell to these people, how stable are they, just like you sell anything, and they help the district and large manufacturing plants do that, and I think that would be a great place for us to start as a borough. Same thing to like your comment about turning on and off the peak shaving programs. Again, a lot of those places have them. Most of that's automated at the building level. I would imagine there's many systems that do that all in automation, start with the diesel generators and whatnot. I'd also recommend looking into the natural gas solutions there. I think it was pointing up to the speaker. Because a lot of people go with the diesel versions, but they're moving towards the natural gas for the cleanliness and what the future of that looks like when the federal government starts judging us on all of our emissions at different levels, scope 1, 2, and 3. And now we're mainly focused on scope 1, but not 2 or 3 yet. The second thing I wanted to bring up just about the whole power situation is that if you look at MedEd, PP&L, any large power producer, they have programs that help consumers and property owners invest back in their own buildings to help offset the peak. Like if we're just focused on how do we get rid of our peak and not how do we prohibit investments in the community that creates peak, then we're just going to have this problem that's only going to get worse by nature. I mean, for example, when I bought my house, my utility bills were like $800 in the summer, $900 for electric. I'm down to like $450 or $500 simply because I just I sold the old window air conditioners and bought better ones. Like if you live in Lower Spatera, you can go get like $650 or $850 for upgrading to a certain energy efficient type of system. And we're putting that money, PP&L is putting that money back in your pocket as a consumer to make a no investment in your property that helps the bigger picture of the grid. Like the borough should look at making some of those investments. And same thing with solar. You guys talked about borough rooftops, but we own multiple buildings in Middletown that are perfect for solar, and most owners with tax abatements and other specialty reeling rates would be more than happy to put solar on the roof. I mean, if you look at most solar panel systems that are installed in PPL owned territories on houses, they aren't owned by the owner. It's a similar lease type agreement of a company that generates. Why aren't we talking to Giant and Carnes and the manufacturing facilities?
You know, excuse me, just for proper procedures, we appreciate you are on a roll and bringing a lot of great information. It's just a reminder that there is a 4-minute limit to all public comment.
And we've hit that 4 minutes.
Well, there is a timer.
Well, there's only one more comment. I apologize if I went over that.
Just a reminder.
Yes. So, but, yeah, the other thing that, a lot of times they do in the power world that, again, I think we should look into is commercial clients that create peaks themselves, look at how we bill them and how we can, again, help put it back in their pocket rather than spending our money on solutions to problems that we're solving the symptoms and not the core problem itself, which is that we create a peak in our community.
Okay.
So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Now, I find it very funny that people are sitting here laughing and smirking when this community is, this council is very anti-solar for the customers. Well, so take Giant.
Anti-solar.
Oh yeah, so take Giant for example. Let's say Giant wanted to load their roof with solar, or say they wanted to put a carport in. Our ordinance does not allow anybody to have a bigger system than 20 kWs. Just for instance, I'm putting in 11 kWs on my house. So 20 kW to a corporation like Giant is nothing. But our ordinance does not permit anybody to put more than 20 kW on a solar on a system. So maybe the borough should follow their own rule and we should only do no more than 20 kW for ourselves. It's the biggest system. If you're in the borough of Middletown,
Ian.
the biggest system you can install is 20 kW.
Ian, nobody's laughing. I wasn't laughing.
I saw multiple people laughing.
Well, I
Excuse
did.
me, do you think I was laughing at you or smirking? Because I felt I was looking at you the entire time you were talking.
And so was I.
You are just out of control, and I'm really done with you. So I'll
Okay.
text you about getting together.
I think you ought to apologize.
I'm not apologizing.
You
I
ought.
saw it. I watched the video again.
No, please do.
I will.
Yeah, I think you ought to.
You know what? Next meeting I'll have timestamps to record in the minutes for the laughing.
Well, you know what? You're ignorant.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate your comment.
You little
Is there any other public comment? I need a motion to adjourn, and we'll be going to executive session. Oh.
Second.
Heidi have something to say?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh.
I was slow on my feet. But since Dan put me on the spot, it is National Library Card Sign-Up Month in September. So if any of y'all are residents of Middletown and don't have your library card, stop by and see me. That goes to anyone back here too. So, and we can make you library card famous this month too.
Okay, thanks, Heidi. A motion to adjourn?
second.
All those in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Hey. Hey.
I'll leave it to Grace.
Hey.
We'll hold it until sign it here. Or not be. I think it's gonna be.
Well, you never know.